Good morning. Today we are going to introduce a new lesson, and this lesson is reading comprehension. And our main objective for this lesson is finding the main idea of a reading text. Let's get started. First, we'll start with our lesson overview. At the beginning, we are going to define the main idea, then where is the main idea located, how to find the main idea for a reading text. That means what is it, where is it, and how to get it. Then we will present some tips to find the main ideas in a reading text. Finally, we are going to conclude with practicing how to find the main idea. Have you ever noticed that some students, when you give them a reading text, they read the first paragraph and they move to another paragraph without understanding any of what any of the thing that they read, and then at the end of the text, the teacher asks them questions and they don't understand what they are going to do. Truth is that these students are not reading; they are just looking at some of the words that on this page. There is one technique that students may help students focus on while they are reading a reading text, and this technique is called the SING method. This method is an acronym that we use to describe the reading process. First, stop, and at the end of the reading paragraph, identify the main idea. Never mind the details and get the main idea. That means we have to focus on the general first. No need for wasting our time for every single word. The main idea, what is it? So it means here, it shows the writer's idea about the topic. Also, it summarizes the overall idea of a reading text. That means we're focusing here on the general idea of a reading text. Beside that, the writer's point of view about this topic. There is a note here. One of the questions that we deal with during the reading comprehension is, what is the text mainly about? And when you ever see this question, your answer should be about the main idea of the text. So don't forget that. The main idea, where can we get the main idea? Usually, it is a general statement, and most of the time, you can find it at the end of the first paragraph. Again, it's most of the time, not always. How can I get it? I have to ask myself the following question. What is the writer trying to say through the reading text? So here, we need to know what is his point of view to get the general idea. There are some tips to find the main idea. The first one is scan the reading text to notice the following. We need only 30 seconds to do that. We go through this and we are going to read the title, the headings, the subheading, captions, pictures, maps, and graphs. Okay, and the second one, we have to read 3 things while we're trying to get the main idea. The first thing is the introduction, and then you're going to move to the conclusion. After that, if you didn't get the main idea, you have to go through the first sentence of each paragraph, like that. So you may get the main idea in the introduction, conclusion, or you may guess it through the first sentence in each paragraph. The third tip, focus while you are reading on the first paragraph. As I told you before, the main idea usually locates at the end of the first paragraph. If you don't get the main idea at the end of the first paragraph, so I think that you have to go through the conclusion, which is the final paragraph. As we know, conclusion always summarizes the whole text. Now we need to practice. What is the text mainly about? As I told you before, this is the question that you are going to face. Most of the time, it is question number 1. My advice to you is to read the question clearly and then read the distractors. I mean by the distractors, the options A, B, C, or D. For example, this text, we are going to read it, but first we are going to look at the question. Here, what is the text mainly about? A, maids in the UAE. Maids are necessary. C, helpful and honest maids. D, the advantages and the disadvantages of maids. Let's go back to the text. As I told you before, we need to read the introduction and the conclusion to figure out the main idea of the text. So here we will start reading the introduction. In today's high-paced lifestyle, everybody is today tired both mentally and physically. Is there anything that can make life easier and worth the time and money? More and more families are turning to the maid services to help free up valuable time and keep their home looking neat. This is the introduction, so I hope that we got something. And then we will move to the conclusion to figure out more about this topic. To sum up, I think the maids help us to keep a peaceful life, especially if women are workers. But on the other hand, we should be aware of their crimes and their bad impact on our children. So I hope that you got the main idea from the introduction and the conclusion, and no need for reading the first sentence in each paragraph. But if you don't get the main idea, then you have to read the first sentence of each paragraph. So let's figure out what is the answer. So the answer here is number D, the advantages and the disadvantages of maids. There is another question here, and when you see it, you will know all the time that this question needs a general idea. That means the main idea of the reading text. Another question that we have to go through, and the answer is the main idea of the sentence, of the text, is which of the following statements best describes the author's opinion? And most of the time you have to think it in this way. As we said before, the main idea depends on the writer's idea about the topic itself. So here again, the main idea of the text. First here, maids are helpful, but we should be aware of their bad effects on the society. B, families depend on maids to take care of sick persons. C, maids are responsible for spoiling our children. D, maids make our life easier. We went through this before. We read the introduction and we read the conclusion. So I think we got the answer. So the answer here is maids are helpful, but we should be aware of their bad effects on the society. To sum up, the main idea is the most important thing in the reading text. So most of students are feeling afraid dealing with reading comprehension, and that's what we tried to do here in this lesson. We are trying to help students going through this smoothly as much as we can. For as the first part in this lesson is to go through the main idea. That means the general idea. Don't worry about every single detail. Think about what you get in general. So think of what is the writer is trying to tell you through this reading text. So never mind the new words, never mind new details, think about the general idea, get it, and go through the questions. Another thing that you should also think about is going through the questions. So whenever you go through the questions, you have to read the questions first very well, read the structures very well, and then go through the reading text to find the answers for these questions. I hope that you found this lesson beneficial and enjoyable. Thank you very much for listening, and I wish you good luck.